I was inspired by Mika Kitty's new video talking about anxiety and panic attacks, and she went a little bit into her depression. And I wanted to make a video about that because if we do talk about it more, then maybe it won't be as scary to talk about, and that would be a really good thing. Maybe my experiences can help someone. I have suffered with depression for a really long time. Now that I look back on it, it's probably been a thing for me since 6th or 7th grade. Around the summer before 8th grade and 8th grade year, I knew there was definitely something wrong. It wasn't just a maybe, it wasn't a possibility, there was something wrong and I needed to know what. And it wasn't just something I could go to someone and talk about, because I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody about anything I was feeling. How down I was, how it was hard to wake up in the morning. So I did what any person with a computer would do, and I researched it on the internet. Just typed in my symptoms and tried to figure out what was wrong. I kind of self-diagnosed myself at that point, and I still didn't feel like I could really talk to anybody about it, so I never really did anything. And it just kind of kept getting worse, especially my 8th grade year. It became really hard to do schoolwork. I had no motivation. I couldn't turn in homework. I couldn't motivate myself to pick up the texts I had to read and just do the homework. It started getting to a point where there was a potential for me to fail 8th grade. And at that point, I had to force myself to do something. I was this 12, 13-year-old who could barely make it to school on time twice a week, who was self-harming, who felt like they couldn't talk to anybody. I somehow had to do something so I could move on to high school. I didn't go to anybody for help. I probably should have at that point, but I didn't. And I kind of was able to just get to a point where I taught myself to be able to force myself to do what was needed to be able to just move on to high school. It took a while. I had to rewrite everything I was feeling. It went against every single thing I was thinking then. I had to do things when I didn't want to. I had to wake up in the morning when I didn't want to. I even set my alarm earlier because then I would wake up. It's still something I'm dealing with. It's something I dealt with throughout all of high school. I'm in my senior year now, and it's still something I have to deal with. I still have to force myself to do these things that I need to do, to force myself to get out of bed in the morning, to do my homework. But it's gotten to a point where I can. And there's still that thing in my brain, you know, all the emotions, the numbness that comes with depression, that's still there. But I've taught myself to be able to go on through it even though it's happening. My anxiety, on the other hand, was not like my depression. It did not start really early on. It started in high school, I think. Actually started around high school. It wasn't too bad in 9th grade, worse in 10th grade, and 11th grade was just this, you know, the end of 10th grade through my 11th grade year was just this rapid decline in how I could deal in social situations. Because most of my anxiety is very social. I have a lot of social anxiety. And in 11th grade it was just really bad. It got to points where I felt like I couldn't go to school because I was too anxious to be able to be around anybody there. That I would, you know, have minor panic attacks in my car after I would, you know, pull up and park because I didn't want to go, because I couldn't, because I would have to interact with people, and that's terrifying. It doesn't really matter how I'm communicating with people, if it's in person, if it's over the phone, if it's textual, if it's on the internet, all of it. Just any time I have to talk to somebody, it's absolutely terrifying to me. I can't even, like, start up conversations with my own friends because of it, and like, they're my friends. I should be able to just be like, hey, stop, wanna go see a movie or something? And it shouldn't be a problem, but it is. My anxiety is still something that I'm dealing with. Luckily for me, panic attacks haven't been a big thing. I don't have many of them. They're never very severe if I do have them. They're very minor. You know, the end of 11th grade going into summer, in between 11th and 12th grade, that it was really bad. But there were things I wanted to do. I wanted to meet people around me that were into the same things I was, but the prospect of going and hanging out with a bunch of strangers in an unfamiliar place was earth-shatteringly terrifying. I wanted to do it. It was something that I really, really wanted to do. So what I did is I just thought of myself as some of the YouTubers that I watch, to be honest. How they always go to, you know, gatherings and meetups and everything to meet all these unfamiliar people, and they can do it. And I was just like, you know what? I can do this. I just heard about the gathering from one person I followed on Tumblr, and I was like, I'll go. And I went, and I did it, and it took a while for me to be able to join in conversations, because jumping in conversations is something that's scary, but once I got talking to people, it was easier to keep talking. It's like the laws of inertia. Later in the summer, there was a meetup for 3 YouTubers that were on a tour, Caters17, SMP Films, and Projected Twin. So I was like, oh my god, I really want to go. And once again, it was that anxiety of meeting people, and this time being on film, because there would be other people vlogging their experiences. There would be Kate with her vlogs. I just was like, alright, I did this before, I can do it again. And I did. Then came VidCon. I had been wanting to go to a VidCon ever since I heard about the first one. It's just meeting a bunch of my idols would be so great. To be able to meet all these people, or at least some of these people that I've looked up to for some for a really long time and some not as long. My ideal situation was to go with a friend, but that wasn't something I could do, and I was going with my dad. But he was going to spend really most of the time in the hotel room because he's not into YouTube. I'm the one who's into YouTube. I was halfway across the country, 500 miles away from my home, away from all the people I knew. A 20-minute walk from my dad, who's sitting in an unfamiliar hotel room. And I am all alone, just me, nobody to fall back to, surrounded by people I don't know. And half the time I was there, I was just standing there contemplating just leaving, because it was scary and terrifying and completely overwhelming. I was in costume on Friday, because it was the costume day where you're supposed to wear your costumes. I had people I'd never known, never seen before, never heard of, coming up to me and talking to me and wanting to take pictures with me and taking pictures of me and wanting me to be in their videos, and I didn't really know what to do. When I was dressed up as my character, when I was cosplaying, I could cosplay. I was just like, I'll be in character. I will be this person I am dressed up as, and I will nail this. I'll just go walking around like I own the place. And it was still hard, because I wasn't the person I was dressed up as. I was me. But I got to meet 2 of my idols that day. The next day, when I wasn't in costume, and I still didn't know anybody, I was just like, hey, I did those 2 meetups. I made it through yesterday. Maybe instead of trying to be somebody else, I should be me. A me who can go and do these things, because I've been able to do them. Because that wasn't somebody else, that was me. That wasn't the person I was pretending to be coming over and taking over my body. They weren't possessing me, they weren't making me do anything. It was me being able to go up and talk to all these people and be around all these people I didn't know. It was all me, baby. It was obviously horrific. I was shaking, I felt like I could puke. And don't even get me started on the concerts, because I'm literally like this close to people I don't know, but I did it. After VidCon, it was put into my head that I won't let this own me. I've shown to myself that I can do this. It may be terrifying, but I can do it. I can do these things that I want to do, and I'm not being crippled by my brain being stupid. That's what I'm working on. Continuously being able to think that I can do it, and making myself less and less afraid. But I'm getting there. That's the important thing.